So in this video, I want to talk about the first common misconception, which has to do with confusing string literals, so things like ABC, with variable names, so things like perhaps ABC but without the quotes. So what I'll do first is I'll write a function that I'll name long.name. And what the function is going to do is it's going to figure out the length of the name that's given to it, and if it's larger than 15 characters, so like this has 3 characters for example, then it'll say true, otherwise it'll say false. So I'll say name like this, and then I'll say str length. So str length is a function that computes the number of characters in something like this. So confusingly in R, this is itself a character. It's called a character. So I'll say str length name, and then I'll say greater than, let's say, 7 or something like that. Okay, so that's going to be like this. So how is that going to work? So if I say, for example, long.name of Mike, like this. So str length of Mike is 4, so that's not greater than 7. So what happens? So Mike gets sent to name. So now here when we're saying name, we really mean Mike in quotes. Str length of Mike is 4 because it's 4 letters. 4 is not greater than 7. So the value of this whole thing is going to be false. So this would evaluate false. If you display it, it's going to be false. So if you do something like, if you have like a long name, like, I don't know, Elizabeth, so that's 5, and then that's 4 more, so that's greater than 7. So that would return true, right? Because you say, so Elizabeth goes to name, and now you're doing str length name greater than 7. So one common mistake that you see is you're saying something like this. So people would say name in quotes. So if you say name in quotes here, R would just give you an error. The reason is that this thing should be the name of a parameter. The name of a parameter is like the name of a variable. It should be something that starts with a letter and then has letters and numbers and periods and stuff like that. But it can't be this, because this is the actual string literal name. It's literally name, right? And here it just doesn't make sense because this is the name of a variable that does not have quotes. So quotes indicate that you literally mean ABC, as opposed to the variable with the name ABC, which could have a value like the number 45 or whatever. Okay? So another thing that you would sometimes see is str length of name, and people put quotes here. So sometimes to just kind of say, well, like, this is text, so I'll put it in quotes. But no, what's happening here is this would work. It would not give you an error, but what this would do is it would say, well, how many characters are there in this specific text? So this would be 4, so this would always be false because 4 is not greater than 7. Okay? Another related thing that you sometimes see is, well, like, maybe there is like a column in a data frame with names, and you would kind of want to say, well, it was like df dollar name, so you would say something like that. Again, this is just not going to work. This is wrong. You could send in a column to a function sometimes, but the column should always have a name that makes sense as a name. You cannot have a dollar in the name. This is like the column name in df, but that's not a variable name, so it should always be something like name. So in short, in the function, it's always like this. So it's always like a list of names that don't have dollar signs, don't have quotes, nothing like that. If you're saying name in quotes here, you're literally saying the text name. In order to do this without the quotes, you would have to, in order to have it be a variable name, you would have to say it as name and then something like Elizabeth could be stored there.